Rowan Hale had lived on Outpost K-17 for almost 8 months. And in all that time he had learned one thing with absolute certainty. The station was always messy. No matter how often he tried to clean, new piles of tools, wires, old food packs, and half-finished repair projects always appeared around him, like the outpost was secretly growing them. He was an orbital engineer, not a housekeeper, and the endless clutter felt like a second job. One day, after stepping on a loose wrench for the 3rd time that morning and nearly falling face first into a crate of spare circuit boards, Rowan finally snapped. "That's it. I'm ordering a robot maid," he said aloud, as if the silent room needed to hear his decision. He opened the station's supply terminal and searched through the list of available units. The cheapest model looked like a metal cylinder with arms. The most expensive one looked like a walking toolbox with 6 cleaning modes. Rowan picked a mid-range practical unit, model SH-12 Domestic Assistant. It was simple. It was reliable. It did not complain. Perfect. He tapped the order button, leaned back in his chair, and imagined a future without dirty socks floating in zero gravity and without food wrappers stuck behind cooling fans. For the first time in days, he felt hopeful. The station delivery system worked fast. Supplies reached Outpost K-17 once every 3 days, carried in small automated pods. Rowan expected his cleaning unit to arrive at the next cycle, but when the delivery alert chimed exactly on time, he did not expect what came next. The pod shot into the docking bay with a loud metallic clang. Rowan walked in with a bored expression, expecting a standard metal box with a barcode. Instead, the pod was shaking violently. Bright blue sparks flickered around the seams of the hatch. A high-pitched alarm beeped from inside. Rowan frowned. That's not normal. He cautiously approached the pod and tapped the console. A red warning symbol flashed. Cargo status. Unstable biological signal detected. Rowan froze. Biological? But he had ordered a robot. Machines didn't have biological signals. Before he could react, the hatch blew open with a burst of pale white vapor. Rowan jumped back, shielding his eyes from the sudden flash. Something fell out of the pod and landed hard on the floor. It wasn't metal. It wasn't a machine. And it wasn't anything he recognized. It was a girl. A girl about his age, maybe slightly younger, with pale silver hair, skin the color of soft moonlight, and a strange, sleek suit that looked more advanced than anything in human colonies. She was unconscious, lying perfectly still except for the slight rise and fall of her chest. Rowan blinked several times. "This is not a robot maid," he whispered. The girl's suit was torn in several places. Sparks flickered from a cracked panel on her wrist. Her breathing was shallow. Rowan felt a sting of panic. He worked with machines, not with people. And definitely not alien people. He knelt beside her, unsure where to start. Okay. Think," he muttered. "She's alive. That's a good sign. She's not bleeding. Also good. But what in the galaxy am I supposed to do now?" He checked the suit for any instructions, labels, or symbols. Most were unfamiliar, but there was one line written in a smooth, glowing script near her collar. He tapped his wrist comm. "This is Rowan Hale from Outpost K-17. My delivery pod arrived with, a biological occupant. Looks humanoid. Possibly alien. Requesting immediate clarification." Silence. He waited. Still nothing. The comm channel wasn't broken. The network signal showed green. Someone should have replied. Rowan tried again with more urgency in his voice. "This is Outpost K-17 calling Central. Someone talk to me. I didn't order this." Again, no answer. The silence felt wrong. Very wrong. Before Rowan could try a 3rd time, the outpost lights flickered twice. The internal scanners activated on their own, humming loudly through the room. A message appeared on the terminal screen. Unidentified energy source detected. Location: docking bay. Probable threat level: unknown. Rowan stared at the girl. The timing was no coincidence. "Great," he sighed. "This day keeps getting better." He looked at her again, still unconscious, still breathing, still completely out of place on his quiet little station. Rowan picked her up carefully. She was surprisingly light, almost weightless even in low gravity. He placed her on a nearby supply bench and tried to figure out his next steps. Her suit made soft clicking sounds as small internal systems tried and failed to activate. He spoke again, more gently this time. "Hey, I don't know who you are, but you were shipped to me by accident. Or maybe not. Either way, you need help." He grabbed a diagnostic scanner and passed it over her. The device beeped in confusion. It wasn't built for non-human readings. Still, it showed her vital signs were weak but stable. Then, he noticed something else. A small device, shaped like a crystal shard attached to her waist. It glowed faintly whenever he touched it. The scanner flashed a brief warning. "Unknown technology, high energy. Handle with care." Rowan didn't touch it again. He needed answers, and the only way to get answers was to wake her up. He checked her suit's wrist panel again, typing random sequences until a soft responding beep told him he had pressed something right. The suit released a gentle pulse of warm air around her chest and head. After a few moments, her eyelids twitched. Rowan stepped back, heart pounding. Her eyes opened slowly, bright violet, glowing faintly like stars trapped in crystal. She scanned the room in confusion and fear, then focused on him. For a long moment, neither of them said a word. Finally, Rowan raised his hands in a peace gesture. "Don't worry, you're safe. I'm Rowan. You arrived here by mistake." The girl blinked several times. When she spoke, her voice was soft but clear, with a strange musical tone. "Mistake? No. No mistake. I escaped. I remember running. Hiding. There was a bright light, and then darkness." Her hand trembled as she touched her damaged wrist panel. Rowan swallowed. "Escaped from where?" She shook her head. "I don't know. My memory is broken. My name is Lysera." She paused again, wincing. "Or something close to that." Rowan pulled up a chair, trying to act calm even though his mind was racing. "Lysera, okay." He nodded slowly. "Do you know why you were in a delivery pod?" "That's a cargo system. It's not for people." She closed her eyes, searching her memory. "I remember. Danger. Chasing. A large shadow. Voices saying they must not let me reach the humans. I do not know why. I do not know why. I do not know why." Her voice trembled with fear. Rowan wasn't sure what to say. But he knew one thing. Whatever trouble she was running from, it was big enough to mess with the supply network, override delivery systems, and cut off all communication. That wasn't small trouble. That was galactic trouble. He stood up and walked to the terminal to try another comm call. But before he could reach it, the station alarm blared loudly. "Warning. Multiple ships detected in proximity. Unregistered vessels approaching. Estimated arrival, 3 minutes." Rowan's stomach dropped. Ships? Out here? Nobody came near Outpost K-17 unless they sent a notice first. The outpost was remote, quiet, and strategically useless. No pirates, no traders, no military, but someone was coming. He looked at Lysera. She already understood. Her eyes widened, and she whispered, "They found me." Rowan didn't know who they were, but he understood one thing with crystal clarity. These ships were not friendly. He grabbed a tool from the bench and looked toward the docking bay door. His voice steadied with a seriousness he had never used before. "Lysera, whoever they are, I won't let them take you." She stared at him with surprise. "Why would you help me? You do not even know me." Rowan met her eyes, speaking simply and honestly. "Because I'm human, and on this station, you're my guest. That's enough." The outpost lights dimmed as the unknown ships closed in. Alarms echoed through Outpost K-17 like distant thunder, bouncing off the metal walls and shaking the thin air. Rowan Hale stood frozen for a moment, his heart pounding so loudly he could almost hear it. Lysera watched him with wide violet eyes, Her breath shallow and quick. The station lights flickered again, dimming as the scanners reacted to the unknown ships outside. A cold blue glow pulsed through the floor, an old security system waking up after years of silence. Rowan swallowed hard. "Lysera. We need to move. Now." She nodded shakily, pushing herself up from the bench. Her suit sparked again, a sign that it was severely damaged. Rowan reached out to help her, and for a second she hesitated, but then she placed her hand in his. Together, they hurried through the narrow hallway toward the central control room. The outpost was small, just a few labs, sleeping quarters, a workshop, a docking bay, and the control center. All designed for one engineer and a couple of robots. It was never built to protect anyone from hostile ships. When they reached the control room, Rowan activated the external cameras. The screen flickered to life, showing the dark space outside. He froze. 3 sleek, black ships hovered just outside the outpost, their surfaces covered in strange, glowing markings. They were silent, sharp, and nothing like human designs. Lysera's hand tightened around the edge of the console. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Tirath Dominion." Rowan looked at her. "You know them?" She nodded. "Yes, and no. I know the name. I know they are dangerous. But I don't remember why." The ships began to rotate slowly, positioning themselves around the station like hunters surrounding a trapped animal. A few seconds later, the comm speakers crackled with static. Then a cold, distorted voice filled the room. "Outpost K-17. You are holding a fugitive. Release her immediately. Failure to comply will result in destruction." Lysera stepped back in fear. Rowan instinctively moved in front of her. Even though he knew it meant nothing against a fleet, he pressed the comm button. "This is Engineer Rowan Hale. I don't know who you are or what you want, but this station is under human authority. You cannot threaten it." The voice responded instantly. "Human authority is irrelevant. The fugitive must be returned. She carries stolen technology." Rowan turned to Lysera. "Stolen?" Lysera shook her head quickly. "I don't remember stealing anything. But my suit? Maybe? Or the shard you saw?" "I don't know." The voice continued. "You have 2 minutes to surrender her. This is your only warning." The comm cut off. Rowan exhaled shakily. 2 minutes. Wonderful. Lysera stepped closer. "Rowan, you should give me to them." He spun around. "Absolutely not. They will destroy the outpost. You will die. They only want me." Rowan pointed at the ships on the screen. "And what do you think they'll do to you?" Lysera lowered her head, unable to answer. Rowan placed a hand on her shoulder. "Listen carefully. Until I know exactly what's going on, I won't hand you to strangers who threaten to blow up my station. Humans don't work like that." Her eyes softened, but fear still trembled through her. Rowan checked the outpost's defense system. It was old, weak, and barely functional. "Okay," he muttered. "We can't fight these ships, so we'll have to hide you." He opened the maintenance hatch on the floor. Inside was a narrow crawl space, filled with cables and spare parts. Lysera looked inside nervously. "Is this safe?" "It's safer than standing in front of the window," Rowan said. "Stay here. I'll try to buy us time." She touched his arm lightly. "Why are you helping me? You could run. You could escape in a pod." He gave a small, crooked smile. "Because I don't leave people behind, even alien people." Lysera stared at him as though she didn't fully understand this kind of kindness, but she nodded and crawled into the space. Rowan closed the hatch gently. He returned to the control panel and forced himself to breathe slowly. "Okay, Rowan," he whispered. "Time to act like you know what you're doing." The first step was to stall. He opened the comm channel and spoke firmly. "To the unidentified ships. The biological cargo arrived here by mistake. I'm checking our databases to verify her identity. I need more time." For a long moment, there was no reply. Then the cold voice returned. "You have 1 minute." Rowan rolled his eyes. Well, that didn't help. He tried accessing the supply network again, hoping for any message, any instructions, any explanation. But the screen remained blank. Connection lost. Central network unavailable. He cursed under his breath. Something was blocking signals. Either the Tyrath ships, or something else connected to Lysera. Rowan moved to the workshop, grabbed a portable shield generator, and rushed back to the control room. He placed it near the center of the outpost. The device hummed, projecting a thin, shimmering barrier over the walls. It wasn't strong. It wasn't even military grade. But it might give them a few extra seconds. Outside the window, bright blue lights began to form at the front of the Tyrath ships, charging weapons. Rowan clenched his fists. No. You are not blasting my station. He opened the comm one last time. Tyrath ships, listen to me. You're making a mistake. She arrived here damaged, confused, and scared. If you want her back, you need to explain who she is. Tell me why she's dangerous. Silence. And then, she carries technology stolen from the Celestian precursors. The voice finally answered. It is beyond human understanding. It must be retrieved. Rowan froze. Precursors. The ancient race that vanished millions of years ago. No one had ever found real evidence of their tech, but he had seen that glowing shard on Lysera's suit. He whispered. She's connected to them. The voice continued. Surrender her, or face destruction. The charging lights intensified. Rowan gritted his teeth. You want destruction? Fine. He grabbed a cable and connected the shield generator to the power grid. The lights around the outpost flared brightly. The floor vibrated as systems overloaded. Lysera's voice came suddenly from behind him. Rowan! He turned. She had crawled out of the hatch, her eyes glowing slightly. The ships are preparing to fire. You must come with me. Where? She grabbed his hand, pulling him toward the workshop. There. She reached into her damaged suit and pulled out the glowing crystal shard. The air around it hummed like a distant storm. Rowan stepped back instinctively. Is that safe? It will be, she said, if I use it correctly. She placed the shard against a metal panel on the wall. The panel lit up instantly as the shard pulsed with energy. For a moment, Rowan felt weightless. The entire outpost vibrated with a strange frequency. Lights on every console flickered. Lysera closed her eyes, focusing. This shard, I think I used it before. I think it can bend energy. Control power, maybe even block attacks. Rowan stared at her. Can it stop them from firing? Lysera did not open her eyes. Maybe. But it will hurt me. Rowan rushed forward. Then don't do it. She shook her head gently. Rowan, they will not just take me. They will destroy you too. I cannot allow that. Outside the window, the ships were seconds from firing. Rowan grabbed her shoulders. Hey, look at me. Lysera opened her eyes. The glow in them flickered. You're not doing this alone, Rowan said. If that shard can bend energy, then I can amplify it through the outpost's power network. But I need you to stay conscious and guide it. She stared at him as if surprised he would risk himself for her. Then she nodded. They pressed the shard against the power core. Rowan held the main cable in place while Lysera connected her hand to the shard. Energy surged into her suit, causing the cracked panels to spark violently. The station lights exploded into brilliance. Outside, the Tyrath ships fired. A massive blue beam shot toward the outpost, but at the last second, it hit an invisible wall of shimmering silver light. Lysera screamed as the shard pulsed through her, but she didn't let go. Rowan held the cables tight, ignoring the burning heat in his palms. The beam shattered harmlessly. The Tyrath ships halted their attack, confused. Lysera collapsed into Rowan's arms, breathing heavily. Rowan held her tightly. You did it. We did it. Her voice was a whisper. They will attack again. Stronger. Rowan looked at the flickering shields, the damaged consoles, and the silent space outside. He knew she was right, but he also knew one thing. He wasn't giving her up. Not now. The outpost shook like a metal drum struck by a giant hammer. Sparks rained from the ceiling as Rowan dragged Lysera away from the overloaded power core. Her face was pale, her breathing uneven, but her eyes were still open. Rowan knelt beside her. Lysera, are you okay? She nodded weakly. Just tired. The shard took energy from me. Too much. Chatter. He helped her sit against the wall, her silver hair falling softly around her face. The shard still glowed faintly in her hand, like a dying ember. The outpost lights flickered. The temporary shield they created was nearly gone. Rowan rushed back to the main console and scanned the exterior. The Tyrath ships had stopped firing, but they had not retreated. Instead, they formed a perfect triangle around the outpost, gathering power again, this time even stronger. Rowan whispered, "This is bad. This is very, very bad." He needed help. Real help. He opened the emergency military channel, one rarely used by engineers. Earth Marine Command. This is Rowan Hale from Outpost K-17. We are under attack by unknown alien vessels. Repeat. Under attack. I have an alien survivor with me. They're after her, requesting immediate assistance. Static crackled for several seconds. Then, a voice answered. Human. Calm. Strong. Outpost K-17, this is Marine Command. We hear you. Rowan almost collapsed with relief. The voice continued. Transmit visuals. Rowan sent the camera feed of the 3 Tyrath ships. After a long pause, the Marine officer spoke again, now with clear urgency. Engineer Hale, you are facing a hostile force known as the Tyrath Dominion. They have engaged other colonies before. You must hold your position. Reinforcements are on the way. Rowan stared at the screen. Hold position? With what? I have 1 shield generator and a half-broken alien crystal. The officer hesitated. Do what you can. Marines will arrive in approximately 40 minutes. 40 minutes. Rowan's stomach twisted. The outpost wouldn't last 5 minutes if the Tyrath attacked again. He turned back to Lysera. She was trying to stand but fell to her knees. Rowan rushed to help her. You shouldn't move, he said, but Lysera shook her head. We need to prepare. The shard will not protect us again unless I recover. And I need time. Rowan looked around the outpost. Time was something they didn't have. He helped Lysera walk to the workshop where the tools, metal pieces, and old stations were kept. She sat on a stool, trying to steady her breathing. Rowan searched through drawers for anything useful. Lysera watched him quietly. Then she spoke softly. I remember something. Rowan stopped. What? She touched the cracked panel on her suit. The shard. It isn't mine. It belonged to the Celestian precursors. I was carrying it because someone trusted me with it. Someone important. Rowan raised an eyebrow. Why would precursors trust anyone? They're ancient. Gone. Lysera shook her head. Not all gone. Some traces remain. And the Tyrath? They hunt those traces. They want precursor power for themselves. Rowan understood instantly. That's why they want you. Her eyes dimmed. Yes. If they capture me and the shard, they could use its energy to control or destroy worlds. Rowan's chest tightened. This wasn't just a small fight. This was much bigger. He grabbed a welding torch and started working fast. Then, we definitely can't let them take you. He used metal plates and spare wiring to build a small, compact device. Lysera tilted her head. What are you making? A defense grid, Rowan said. Something that combines your shard's power with our tech. If we get it working, maybe we can protect the outpost until the Marines arrive. Lysera watched him with curiosity. You think you can build this in minutes? Rowan smirked. I'm an engineer. I fix things faster than people think. He worked quickly connecting circuits, attaching power cells, reinforcing the frame. But he needed the shard for the final connection. He looked at Lysera. When you're ready, I need your help. Lysera nodded slowly. Outside, the Tyrath ships began to glow again, their weapons charging with bright, deadly blue light. Rowan cursed. We're running out of time. Lysera's hand trembled slightly as she stood and walked toward him. She placed the shard into the core of his device. The lights around it flickered, then steadied. Rowan felt a rush of hope. It's working. The ground shook violently. The Tyrath fired again. This time Rowan was ready. He slammed the activation switch. A dome of shimmering silver light burst out from the device, stretching across the outpost like a protective bubble. The Tyrath beam hit the shield and exploded into harmless light. Lysera sagged, nearly collapsing again. Rowan caught her. Easy. Don't push yourself. But Lysera's eyes were fixed on the device. Rowan. Something is wrong. He looked too. The shield flickered. Tiny cracks of energy danced across its surface. Rowan gasped. It can't handle another hit. Lysera grabbed his arm. Rowan. We need to go inside. They will try to board the station next. As if answering her words, a sharp alarm rang through the outpost. Warning. Boarding tubes detected. Enemy breach imminent. Rowan's blood turned cold. They're coming inside. Lysera's eyes widened. We must hide. Or fight. Rowan grabbed a wrench. I vote fight. Lysera looked at his wrench and almost smiled. Is that your weapon? Rowan shrugged. It's heavy. The outer door groaned under pressure. Something was forcing it open, something strong. Rowan pulled Lysera toward the lab. Come on. We'll use the inner blast doors. They reached the lab just as the docking bay door ripped open with a screech. Gray-skinned figures with glowing blue armor marched inside. Their eyes were narrow and cold, their movements quick and precise. Lysera's voice trembled. Tyrath soldiers. Rowan shut the lab door and activated the lockdown. Thick metal panels slid into place, but they wouldn't hold long. The Tyrath began pounding the outer wall. Rowan turned to Lysera. Can you use the shard again? She shook her head. Not without collapsing. Rowan looked at the cables running across the floor. An idea hit him crazy. Dangerous. But possible. If we overload the power grid and channel it through the shard, he said, thinking aloud, we can create a shockwave strong enough to push them out of the station. Lysera stared at him. That is extremely dangerous. Rowan grinned. Welcome to human engineering. The door shook harder. Lysera hesitated. Rowan. If we fail. We won't, he said firmly. We're doing this together. She breathed deeply and placed the shard into the center of the cable junction. Rowan stood beside her and grabbed the main circuit breaker. Ready? He asked. Lysera nodded. Rowan pulled the lever. Electricity surged through the outpost. Lights burst into blinding brightness. The shard glowed white, brighter than anything Rowan had ever seen. A loud hum filled the lab, growing deeper and deeper. Lysera closed her eyes and raised her hands, guiding the energy. Then, boom! A wave of light exploded outward. The walls shook violently as a shockwave rippled through the outpost, pushing Rowan off his feet. The Tyrath ships outside trembled. The boarding soldiers were thrown backward, blasted out of the docking bay. Then silence. Rowan lay on the floor, dazed. Wow. Okay. That worked. Lysera collapsed beside him. Her breathing was weak, but she was alive. Rowan crawled over to her. Lysera. Hey, stay with me. She opened her eyes slowly. Did we succeed? Rowan smiled tiredly. Yeah. You were amazing. 2. The outpost speakers suddenly crackled. Outpost K-17. This is Marine Commander Rivas. We've arrived. Hold tight, we're coming in. Rowan exhaled in relief. Lysera whispered. Humans. They came to help you. Rowan squeezed her hand gently. Not just me. You too. She stared at him with soft, shining eyes. And for the first time since she arrived, Lysera looked like she believed him. The sound of approaching engines vibrated through the thin walls of Outpost K-17. Rowan Hale sat beside Lysera on the cold metal floor, still breathing hard after the massive energy shockwave they created. Lysera leaned weakly against him, her eyes half closed, her silver hair messy and glowing faintly from leftover energy. Rowan brushed a few loose wires off her shoulder. Marines are here, he whispered. You're safe now. Lysera gave a soft smile. Safe. Because you protected me. Rowan shook his head. We protected each other. Before Lysera could answer, a deep voice boomed through the outpost speakers. Engineer Hale, this is Marine Commander Rivas. Stand by. We are entering your station now. Rowan sighed in relief. He gently helped Lysera stand. She was shaky, but she refused to let go of his arm. The inner door slid open, revealing 3 armored Earth Marines. Their suits were bulky and dark green with glowing white stripes. They scanned the area quickly, weapons raised, ready for enemies. One Marine stepped forward. "Engineer Rowan Hale?" Rowan nodded. "Yeah, that's me. And this is Lysera." The Marine looked at Lysera with a puzzled expression. "She's the alien survivor you reported?" Rowan stepped slightly in front of her. "Yes. And she's under my protection." Lysera looked at Rowan with surprise, as if she hadn't expected him to say it so boldly. Commander Rivas stepped into view from behind the soldiers. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with a strong face and calm eyes. His gaze moved between Rowan and Lysera. "We've scanned the Tyrath ships," Rivas said. "They're severely damaged. They won't attack again soon." Rowan frowned. "Soon? You mean they're coming back?" Rivas nodded. "They never give up. Not when they want something badly. And they clearly want her." Lysera lowered her head. "Because of the shard." Rowan tightened his grip on her hand. "The shard saved your lives too. She saved this entire outpost." The Marines exchanged looks. They weren't used to seeing engineers and alien refugees fighting side by side. Commander Rivas sighed. "We need to get both of you off this station. The Tyrath will return with more ships. We're evacuating." Rowan nodded. "Understood." He helped Lysera walk down the hallway. The Marines surrounded them, guarding every corner. But Lysera flinched every time a weapon moved. Rowan leaned closer. "Don't worry. Humans protect their friends," Lysera whispered. "I am... your friend?" Rowan smiled warmly. "Of course you are." A small, hopeful light appeared in her violet eyes. They reached the docking bay where a sleek Earth Marine transport ship waited, glowing with blue engine lights. Compared to the simple outpost, the ship looked like a fortress. As they stepped inside, Lysera paused and looked back at the outpost, her accidental refuge. The place where she awakened in fear, but also found her first human ally. She whispered softly, "Goodbye. And thank you." Rowan gently guided her inside the ship. The hatch closed. Moments later, the transport lifted off, engines roaring as it carried them away from Outpost K-17. Aboard the Marine ship, inside the ship, medical robots scanned Lysera. They gently wrapped warming bands around her arms and gave her water. Commander Rivas sat across from Rowan. "You put up one hell of a fight for a civilian engineer," Rivas said with a small smile. "Most people would have hidden in a closet." Rowan shrugged. "She needed help. That's all." Lysera opened her eyes and looked at Rowan. "You helped me even when you had nothing. No army, no tools. Just your courage." Rowan felt his face warm slightly. Anyone would have done the same. Rivas laughed. "No, Engineer Hale. Most people would not have done the same." Lysera nodded softly. "You were the first." Rowan didn't know how to reply, so he just squeezed her hand again. As the ship moved through space, the Marines monitored the screens. Suddenly, one shouted, "Commander!" Tyrath signals detected at long range. Lysera stiffened. Rowan gently put an arm around her shoulders. Rivas frowned at the screen. "They're persistent, but they won't reach us before we jump to hyperspace." Rowan sighed with relief, but Lysera whispered, "No, they are not chasing us. They are searching for something else." Rivas raised an eyebrow. "Something else?" Lysera lifted the silver shard in her hands. "This. The star lattice key." Rowan leaned forward. "What does it do?" "Really?" Lysera took a long breath. Memories flickered slowly into place. "It is a precursor tool," she said softly. "It can awaken ancient structures hidden across the galaxy. Weapons, machines, even worlds once filled with life." Rivas's face tightened. "If the Tyrath got that, they could control entire systems." Lysera finished. "They could threaten every planet in the human colonies." Rowan felt a chill. "Then we have to protect that shard. And protect Lysera." Rivas nodded slowly. "Agreed." Arrival at Earth's lunar command. After 30 minutes, the ship entered hyperspace. Light stretched around them like glowing threads before snapping back into calm darkness. Minutes later, Earth's moon appeared on the screen, its surface glowing gently. The transport landed at Lunar Command Base, a massive silver-white structure partially buried in the surface. Hundreds of lights moved across its runways and towers. As Rowan and Lysera stepped out of the ship, officers and scientists rushed toward them. One officer gestured. "Commander Rivas, bring the alien inside immediately. Medical evaluation and interrogation." Rowan instantly stepped in front of Lysera. "Hold on. She's not a prisoner." Lysera looked down nervously. The officer frowned. Commander Rivas stepped forward. "No, she's a guest of humanity, and a hero who saved an entire outpost. She gets respect, not interrogation." The officer stepped back, embarrassed. Rowan smiled secretly. "Thanks, Commander." Lysera touched her heart gently. "Humans are kinder than I imagined," Rivas chuckled. "Not all of us." They guided Lysera inside a bright medical room filled with soft blue lights. Doctors cleaned her suit, repaired her cracked panels, and gave her energy supplements. Lysera felt stronger with each passing minute. Rowan stood beside her the whole time. Finally, she looked at him. "Rowan, I remember something else." Rowan leaned closer. "What is it?" "My people," she whispered. "The ones who trusted me with the shard. They were hiding from the Tyrath. We were trying to find help. Allies. Friends." She looked directly into Rowan's eyes. "That is why they sent me. They hoped humans would help. They hoped you would help." Rowan blinked. "Me?" Lysera nodded. "Yes, you." Rowan felt something warm and heavy in his chest. He didn't know what to say. Words seemed too small. Before he could answer, alarms blared across Lunar Command. Everyone turned toward the screens. A new message appeared. "Urgent. A second Tyrath fleet is entering human space, heading toward Earth." Rowan's breath caught. "They're coming here?" Lysera stood, now stronger, eyes glowing again with determination. "They are here for the shard," she said, "but they will hurt anyone in their path." Commander Rivas grabbed his helmet. "Then we're fighting back." Lysera touched the shard gently. "I can help you, but I cannot do it alone." She looked at Rowan. He stepped forward without hesitation. "Then we'll do it together, just like before." Her eyes softened with trust. Together, the Marines prepared for battle. Ships launched from hangars. Energy barriers lit up around the base. Humanity was ready to defend their home. But Rowan and Lysera were at the center, human engineer and alien girl, standing side by side on the edge of a war that would change the galaxy. Lysera held the shard. Rowan placed his hand over hers. Her voice was calm but strong. "Rowan, you gave me hope when I had none. Now I will give you the same." And as the Tyrath fleet entered view, the shard glowed brighter. Awakened by their joined hands, human and alien energy forming one. Humanity's first alliance had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same again.